So we've got the bolts in the housing, all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts, and we pulled it all in. And as I said to you, everything gets pushed forwards, and it makes the main shaft tight. So the main shaft is indeed tight, but the whole point is that we're going to build this back end, which is going to draw the shaft back, and that is what we're looking for now. So I'm going to get that set up, and we'll show that. I have to do the gaskets and the seals, so there's a little bit of time delay, but I'll be showing some of that too. So we've got the back piece here. The bearing rides in this portion here, and you can see inside there's a seal. This seal here I've got to change, but there's also a felt wiper there, which I don't want to change because I don't have one of those. So I'm going to change the seal, hopefully by knocking it in and then pushing the seal from the inside in. But I'm going to work on that. I won't be able to film all of that, but I'll bring you back when I've got that seal out. You can see that seal is leather, and it's just as hard as a rock. And I don't believe you can get them anymore, so we're going to go with a more modern seal. And but the wiper, the felt wiper, fills in an area, so we'll go with that. I guess we could use 2 seals, but I have to have a look. You see, that's where the seal goes, and then there's the wiper. We have to have, I guess we could just have the seal at the back. It's got a better surface. But we could make the seal come out a bit. There's a number of things we can do. Anyway, we'll come back. So at this point, what I'm going to show is putting the parking pole in. It's not terribly difficult, but it'll give you an opportunity. You've got to put it up and drop it down, and now is probably the best time to put it in, while you've got the room to move around. It's not essential to put it in now, but while you're putting the rear housing on, you want to do that. See that is a special bolt for the parking pole. Oops. And you'll put the arm from the governor in there, which is what selects the park. This arrangement now, I'm waiting for a seal, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up, pull the main shaft, give it its play, and we're going to do this. And it's a good way of demonstrating it, and then I can put my cover on after. But what it'll do is it'll pull the shaft and it'll shove all of this in and give me the clearance inside that rear drum. So that'll be the next thing. I've got to do a little bit more, but you can see that's what we want to do to give us our freedom. Then we can work on the front. So this is good anyway, because the aluminum cover will slide right over the bearing without any problem, and we can see everything's worked. So that's the next thing. So this morning, what we're going to do is we're going to do the front oil pump, the front pump it's known as. And what we're going to do is remove the seal from the front here and replace it with another one, a new one obviously, and then we're going to assemble the pump, what we got to do is a bit of an inspection. What we're looking for in the pump is that this surface here is mostly smooth. I mean, these marks that you can see in there are really only marks from the pump running, and given its age and everything that it's done really well. But there's no problem with that surface. The pump will work, and that's good. So I've done some previous looking at this pump before I brought it up. The other thing is we have to make sure that the bushing, the main bushing that the pump rides on, is in good shape. If this bushing has gone bad, you've got no surface for not planetary, but the drive from the Taurus cover runs in here, and that's always important. The other thing is you've got an oil, an O-ring in here you're going to need to change, and I'll show that. And the other thing that was wrong with this pump is there's a valve here. This is the valve that you can see the hex from the outside, and then you've got a relief valve here. This relief valve was stuck in this pump. I mean, you just couldn't, it wouldn't come out, so there was no chance that it was going to relieve anything at all. So it's good that we found that, and we fixed that problem. So that's the valve. I'll show the assembly of that too. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the seal from the outer part of the housing, and then we're going to put the new one in. I'll show you the setup I've made for that. So the best way I've found to remove these seals, and it's always a destruction of the seal that you've got to do, but what you've got to be very careful of is when you start knocking this seal around, there's two rings in here, two sealing rings, which the Taurus cover is sealed on the inside, and you don't want to destroy the rings when you're doing this. So what I do is I tend to work at this point here, which is there, and I've got to get the seal down, but I only want it down far enough to relieve some of the pressure. I'm not beating it all the way down, so it's going to wreck the rings. So once we get it at that point, we can see the ring is in there, and what we do is we just bring it out like that there. So that was part of the seal, scared me a bit, but ring is still intact. I thought that might have been the ring, but no, it's part of the seal. So got both our rings in, no problem. Got the seal out. We're going to clean that up. Just as a word, you can see that I've got the vice jaws in, so I didn't damage the pump, and I've gripped it on a good surface where that's what you need to do. You need to be aware of the damage you can do when you start beating up on something. But so we'll carry on. I'll get that cleaned up. So still cleaning off the gasket where the pump joins to the box, and you can see it's rubberized and it's pretty difficult to get off. So I just thought I'd show you that. It's a slow process, but when we get that off, start assembling the pump. So we got the pump all cleaned up. I had to go to the wire wheel as well. It was very frustrating, just scrape and nothing really coming off. So got it all cleaned up and ready to go. So I'm going to demonstrate putting the seal in and show you the system that I use, because got to be very careful with these rings, because if you break them, you got a major problem. Anyway, I'll do that next. So we've got the pump here. I've got it mounted up, ready to go. I've moved the rings around, and what I do is I have a ring to keep the rings in the grooves so that the seal doesn't get cut as it goes over them. I'm just going to have to turn that heater off so you won't be able to hear me. So what I do is I take the a little bit of assembly fluid, so everything moves, and then I push the rings into the ring, as it were, into the tube, and ease them down. That holds them out of the way. Then I take my seal and I put it over the ring there, and then I can insert the seal in properly, knowing, because I've got a controlled depth there, what I can do and that inserts the seal. Then I can take that out knowing no broken rings, no mashed up seal, and that's what I've done for years. So you can see the tools, see the controlled depth, and that's it. Worthwhile knowing. Anyway, I'll continue to assemble the pump now, and we'll follow along. So you can see the two surfaces of the pump rotor where the pump rubs against, and they're both good and flat and no nasty marks or anything. So this pump's in good shape. You know that the rings are there, and it's a double ring pump. Some of the earlier ones were single ring pumps, and some of the replacements have been the GM design pump with a single ring. If you end up with one of those, it's a bit of a decision as to whether you want to get yourself a double ring pump, but it's like everything else. You're going to make that decision at the time. So I've got this valve, and this valve is held in by a pin, and the pin is held in by the pump going together. So we have to put this in prior to the pump going together. So that's what we're going to do. Put a little bit of lubricant on this. You can see the pump in there. No, you can't. So you can see the valve in there, perhaps. Yeah, you can see the valve. Can't see too much. I think I'll get a bit more light for a minute. See the valve in there now. Oh yeah, there you go. So you can see where that is, and that's in the hole. So I moved some light, and I hope you can see that now. I guess you can. That valve there didn't seem to get what I wanted, but anyway. Good. Okay. So we've got the valve in. The valve also has a spring that goes inside first, And it has a little mushroom cap. And then it has a pin that goes in that hole there. So what we have to do, so we don't lose it, is make sure that we get it in. So I'm going to try it with the camera on. Can't see because of my thumb. There it should be. So we put that in there. Of course it won't, my thumb's too fat to go in the hole. So now I'll have to try one more time. I can't do this. I'll have to. So you can see the pin on top of the valve, or the mushroom valve, and you just push it in. Of course, I couldn't do. And there you can see it. And there's the end of the pin. Right there. And that is held in by the body of the pump. So we've assembled that now. And now we've got to do this O-ring, the O-ring in there. Still can't see anything, can you? Oh well, you have to take my word for it, I guess. I'll pull it out and then hopefully the O-ring is incredibly hard and cooked, so I'm gonna have to dig her out. So I got the old one out in about a million pieces. There wasn't a lot to see. Now we're going to put in the new one. So we're going to fit the O-ring now. It's pretty straightforward. Oops. As long as you don't lose it. Okay. So put that in there. Get it in the groove. Start it in the groove and just work around and push it in. So you can see it's pretty straightforward. but that's the seal for the pickup for the front pump, what they say, the pickup from the front pump, which comes from the front of the strainer, just out of interest. So this part is finished. This is a pipe to the front servo, and this is the valve, as I said, from the outside of the box, that the big hex, then that goes in upon assembly of the pump. So what we do now is we now going to put the insert in the moving part of the pump in there, and that has two springs, two little springs. We put those in. We'll just put a bit of lube in here just to keep everything going along, because of course it has to draw the oil, so we want to have plenty of oil in here so that if it does turn, we want to make sure there's oil there to lubricate it. I'm going to fill the pump up with a good deal. You can see I've got that in there. So the next thing, we're going to put the vane carrier in. Vane carrier has two rings, one each side. So we put one in there, put that inside there, put that on the outside. You can see the so these have two marks there and then the rubbing edge, so it's good to put them back the same way they came out. But you've got to drop it inside the other ring. So there you can see that's down. Once you get one or two in, it's pretty straightforward. So we've got the edge there, two marks, so we put that to there. That's there. To get that ring to move across. I might have to do a bit of a trick shot here. Okay, everything's down now. One's in. That's in. So you can see that there. You can see all the rings inside the vanes. We know the bottom one's good because the vanes are all in. So what we're going to do now is going to make sure we've got some fluid, so nothing is metal to metal on the initial run up. And the assembly fluid will stay there should you have a dry area. So that's all good. And now we have to put we've got two dowels, and one of the dowel pins is closer than the other one. So you've got this space here, which is fairly wide, and this one that's fairly close. So that's, so you know, that's how that goes. Oops. Got to be pretty straight to go down, so you might have to lift one up a bit to get the other one to go down. There you go. So that puts the pump together. Now there's one other thing to know about the pump. Everything moves great. So there's one other thing to know about the pump, and that is they use the internal tooth locking washers. Well, you can see that one's pretty tired and worn out, but the new internal tooth locking washers that we get tend to be a little large, and what they do is they stick out past this, and because this is so tight you can't get the pump in. So upon assembly, if you use internal tooth locking washers, which you really need to do, you've got to make sure that you are not going beyond the side of the pump, because otherwise it won't go in, and that's a word from the wise. Anyway, we'll come back to that. So we got the pump together, and as I mentioned previously, we've got the washers somewhat cleaned up so that they will go through the hole. So I'm just going to tighten those up, and then we'll give it a try, make sure it goes in, and then after that we can fit it permanently. So I'll just do that. So I've tightened up all the bolts with a ratchet, and they're only quarters, so you don't need to be tearing the threads out of them. And we're getting we've got a good mate in. I've got rid of the excess of that washer so that it goes through the hole. So before I put the sealant on the pump, I'm going to just test it and make sure it goes in, so I'm not messing with it when with the sealant on it. Anyway, I've got to change direction now, so now we come to the front. There's the pump and the box, so it gives you a view of where we're going. So the pump drive is this unit here, and inside there's a washer, a thrust washer. I'm going to have to get a bit more light on this subject. It's too dark in that hole. One sec. So we've got this washer here, which goes on the inside of the gear there. Has to be there. Thrust washer. So what we do, we have a keyway that fits into the pump drive, so it's good to hook this up We'll put that in there first. Because I've got the fluid in there, doesn't seem to work particularly well. Let's check that. Oh, it came out. That's no good. So we have to make sure this goes into the drive. Most times they're really in there and they don't move, but there's always that time. So we're just going to give it a gentle tap in. Then we'll offer it up. Voila, there we go. So now we're just testing this, so make sure that those washers aren't going to keep us out. And no, they're not. So we're in good shape. So there, she's in there, nice. No problem with the washers. So what we have to do now, put our sealant on there, and we can put that in. So we've got the pump in, pushed it straight in, everything rotates, the thing's nice, moves. I've got the sealant on there, so that's all good. We're very happy with that. So what we got to do now is we have to put the washer that goes in this bolt hole here and gives us it holds it from turning should it decide it wants to turn with just the press of the two bolts. So what you've got to have is this small washer, and that goes in there like so. So you have to align the pump up Put my glasses on. Now I can see. I need to help myself a bit here. Oh, it's coming in beautiful. So now we're giving it a bit of a suck off some of the hydraulic lock. Oh boy. Oops, there we go. Got good and that's it. See what we got there. Yeah, I think that's good. Maybe a little bit that way. Okay, so we're going to put that in. And we're going to put this other one in. Actually, on these, the Silver Cloud ones have collars on the bolts, and these ones, they just use a regular bolt, which was earlier. So we're going to have to find 2 washers there. So that's that. The pump seal. Going to clean up the mess here, and we'll all be good. So on to the next. We're going to do the rear pump next, and follow along. So at this point, I think we've got to put the washers on the front that keep all of this working properly. So we've got a thrust washer there that goes on. These are the ones that you keep together when you take it apart. You have to, there's the set of washers in the middle that I showed you previously, and then you've got this one here, which is a thrust washer, and it's this special one because, as I showed you previously, this one's got a very small nodule that fits in these grooves here, whereas the other one was a big flat nodule. You see that goes on there, it won't turn, and that goes up there. And what that does is stops all of that back and forth motion. And we'll just put that one on before we go on with anything else. And that's pretty straightforward. So give that a little tap on, I think. There you go. turn anyway. So that's good, it's in properly. So that's that one done, and that's thing, and we'll continue on finishing up, tightening up everything that we had just done up there, because now we're just kind of putting the accessories or the auxiliaries on. All of the setup now is done throughout, so all of the clearances are set up now. We've checked that, our clearance there, we've got no in and out movement and just a little bit of up and down, which is the main shaft, which is the front part of the Taurus. Then this is the second part of the Taurus, and this is the Taurus cover. It drives the pump, and then it drives the interplanetary on that drum, that small front drum. But so there will be one more clip to put on here before the before we're done, and all that does is holds the front part of the Taurus from going in and hitting the inner part of the Taurus. But that's all interesting. So now we're going to tighten up the saddle really tight and bend the lock tabs, tighten up the cover on the rear drum tight, and then we're going to put the drum, we're going to put the servos on, and the drums and the rear pump. But we're getting there, it's moving along, and yeah, I'll keep you, we'll come back. So at this stage we're just going to do a bit of housekeeping here, as it were, and just put some bits on, and there's not much except tightening everything up, but it's at the time that we're going to do it. So at this point we're looking at this clip on the main shaft. So we're going to go boom. We don't want to stretch this one too much, because they work well if they're nice and tight like that. Otherwise, when you take them apart and you want to get the Taurus off, the two halves of the Taurus off, if this is loose, it doesn't let it come off, or it catches on it and it's a pain. So that's the way they should be. They should be nice and tight. Sometimes you have to buy new ones and they're not cheap, but that's that. So moving along, we're going to tighten up the rear drum at this stage of the game, which are those bolts in there. So what we need to do is this rear band, is we have to use that as the brake so that we can tighten them up nice and tight. So there's a spring lives in here, right there, and that's to push the band off, because the rear band's on most of the time. It only comes off with oil pressure to run. So what I do is I put a bit of grease in there just to hold the spring, because you lose sight of the spring when it goes down. So it's nice to have something that's going to hold it for you. Yeah, that will come out at the top. So now we can see down here. We can get everything we need. Bit of light as well. See, I think you can see that there. Perhaps not yet. Okay. Yeah, you can see that silver thing down the bottom, down in there. And that's what we're looking for, to make sure that the band goes down, which it has. You can see in there, I hope. Maybe let you down a bit. You can see how that band sits on that spring, so that's good. Now we're going to put this special tool on, this special tool that I made that holds the rear band tight on the drum for assembly purposes. And what we do is we bolt this to the case like so. It doesn't have to be tight to the case, it just has to be at a point that there is no movement and it stays straight. So that's okay. So we'll bring the camera up a bit and give you a bird's eye view. Well, I think that's pretty good. Actually, you want to see where the pressure is, I think. We'll go down a bit more. There you go. So what we do is you can see there where the metal, oops, see that? That spring took off on me, bugger. So now the spring's in the right spot. Just give you a view of that. So you can see where the spring has to be. So going down. That makes that nice and tight. Tighten up those oops, if we have the right size wrench. That allows you to really tighten them up, because want to be loose. So we'll let it off a bit now. We'll turn to the next two. And that's that too. To the last two. So they're all tightened up now, nice and tight, and that's the rear drum. That's what causes the movement when the rear drum is on. But there you go. So now we're going to take that off and tighten up the saddle, the center saddle, and I'll just show you that, and then we can tab that up. So moving right along. So now we're going to tighten up the saddle, and that I'm going to show you that. The reason I'm showing it to you is I'll give you an idea of how tight they need to be, as much as anything, and the time to do it. So I'll just get the camera. Oops. So you want a pretty good bar, and want to ease it down. But this saddle hold is the only thing that holds that lot in, so really, so you need to make sure that's properly tightened and in. And then we're going to lock tab her up and do that. I'm running a bit low on my battery, so I guess I'll just show you what I use to do that. Get that a bit better. And that gives you a view of that. And the other one, maybe I'll do that other one a little tighter, hopefully. So that will come back again when we're going to put the servos on. So we're going to put the rear pump in now. The rear pump holds the governor and the adds to the pressure of the front pump, certainly in reverse. And that's because but its biggest function is to the governor is held on there. So it's pretty straightforward. The holes are there. Put that in. So now we're going to put the servos on, and we're going to get that set up, and then I'll show you that arrangement. So we have to put some pipes in before we put the servos on, and we've got two pipes. We've got a pipe in the pump. I'll just give you a close-up of that. You can see there coming out of the front pump, it's a straight pipe, and it just goes in between the two units. And then you've got this pipe here that goes into the rear pump. You can see the length of the cut back there and the length there. This goes into the pump. The long one goes into the pump at the back there. You can see how far that can go in, and the shorter one goes into the servo. So what we have to do is we have to worry about the spring on the rear drum there, and we've got to worry about the front band as well, and the hull, and we've got to fiddle it all in. And so we're going to give it a shot. I think the best angle will be to keep it here. I think you may be able to see that if I keep it down, going in. For the purpose of this shot, got a lot of light back there, but you'll be able to see. Okay, so we'll try that, and hopefully you'll be able to see what you need to see. So we're going to pick up the front band first, like so. Then we've got to get the pipe, both pipes, to go in, like so. So we're in a bit there, and we've got to watch that the rear band arrangement goes in. We lost our spring already. So there we go. Well, see what we can do here. Lift it up. Okay, so I've got that spring in. You've seen that position. I've got both holes on the front there, and I've got to push into that pipe. I've also got to push in the front here. See if I can give you a shot there. I think you can see in there. So I've got to get this hole here, get the other hole, which you can't see at the moment. So you kind of wiggle it into that. What with the band pulling and the okay, well, we'll have to abandon that bit just at the moment. Can't believe that. Got it in. Can't believe that. Well, that was pretty good. Clearly got it in. So we saw the fight. We've got out. Oh, we lost the back one though. That's going to be a problem. Aha. Let's see. Okay, we got the back in now. If we can get the front back in. I'm laughing. There she goes. So, oh man. So I managed to get the spring in without taking it off again. So had a little bit of success there. I'm gonna lower it down just a little bit more. You can see the spring in there. So we got that. So now what we've got to do is tighten up the bolts on the top here, which we'll do. Got that massive light in your face, but I think you can still see it. So we'll tighten these all down, pushing against the springs, and you'll see how this servo, this rear servo goes on. You can see that at that point there, it's pushing in, and that is an adjustment, is the distance that it goes in. You'll see it moving in. I'll pull these down a bit so we don't. So you can see how far that's gone in. Well, you can't. You're going to have to go up. Anyway, I'll show you the adjustment on that when we get there. Sure they're pretty tight because the feed for the units are metal to metal there, so I want to make sure you get a pretty good seal so you don't have an internal leak. Now the back doesn't move because the band is on all the time. So I'm going to put a couple of pipes in and then we'll do an air test. Only have to do one. This pipe is what assists on the when each servo is in the opposite mode, as it were, so I'll just show you that. I believe it's that one. You can see that band goes on there. That's the assist hole. You can see that goes on. So when I do that, you see it goes on tighter, and that when the front one goes on, this one goes on tighter. So you could see that, so that it doesn't move. So you got your So I'm going to put the pickup, oops. So I'm going to put the pickup in the pump. You can see there, goes in that hole there. That's for the filter pickup goes. So there, that's the pump pickup. So that's pretty well. That part of it, we've got to put the valve body on, the governor on, and some pipes on. So that'll be the next part of it. But we're getting to the point where we're almost finished. So thanks for watching. We'll come back and show you a bit more.